So it was, of course, another disappointing weekend for the Manchester United senior team. However, for the youth team, it was a little bit different. They beat Arsenal in the FA Youth Cup on Friday, and one player in particular may now be knocking on the door for first team football. His name, Jaden Kamason. So the first question that you guys will have is, who is Kamason and what position does he actually play? Well, I see him as a right back in a back four, or potentially as a right wing back in a back three shape. In terms of his strengths as a player, I think one of his real standout qualities is this young man's athleticism. He is one of those players who naturally has a brilliant ability to get up and down the pitch, basically just bombing up and down the right hand side all day long. And I mean, in that game in the FA Youth Cup, it actually went to extra time, so we're talking 120 minutes of football, and this young man didn't stop. He just kept going up and down this side of the pitch. In terms of, if we're talking about things from more of a technical point of view, a good ball carrier. Someone who is happy to take the ball, kind of feel the shoulder-to-shoulder contact, and just keep powering forward, keep carrying the ball forward down this right-hand side of the pitch. But not just carrying outside, also the ability to carry inside at times, which is also quite interesting. The other thing that I like about Kamason when he plays is his passing range. His short passing is competent, he's comfortable on the ball, able to combine in short spaces. But what I particularly like is when he receives the ball across the pitch like this, and then looks to go a bit more direct, sort of clipping a ball. I'm not talking about just punting a long, hopeful ball forward, actually clipping a ball and trying to find a channel. So let's say the ball's coming across the pitch. We know that 9 times out of 10 the opposition are going to squeeze just a little bit higher here. It does open up that space to go in behind. This is something that Kamason is actually quite good at finding. This was particularly evident in the game against Arsenal, but generally speaking, I think it's something that he offers quite well. And then the other thing, once again, is when the ball starts on the other side of the pitch and comes across, his ability to attack space. So he's combining that athleticism that we've already spoken about with just a sheer understanding of the space to attack, the ability to sense the danger and arrive in these positions. Now that can be when the ball is on the other side of the pitch, over here coming across, or it could be from this sort of position here, attacking that open space, looking to get himself into the penalty area. And all of these strengths are things that we have seen so far this season, particularly the game against Arsenal, but we're going to start off with this clip here against Newcastle. We're talking about recovery pace. You can see he is not favourite for this ball, but in terms of the athleticism, the acceleration, just the pure speed to get here is absolutely brilliant. And then it's the timing of the tackle, the composure. It is very easy, particularly as a young player, to be quick, strong, athletic, and almost hot-headed, because you're doing everything at such high speeds, you can then make rash decisions, rash tackles. But Kamason doesn't tend to do that. He, of course, initially accelerates really well, but then it is the intelligence to slow down, compose himself, and have that cool head to make a good tackle, which is really important. We also saw this in the game against Arsenal. Now, granted, initially, his positioning here is poor. He is much deeper than the rest of the defence. This is almost a Kyle Walker trait, if you like. Knowing you're quick, you kind of put yourself in this position, just knowing that you've got the recovery pace to cover yourself, almost preferring to race the guy rather than defending in line with the rest of your team. So he should do better in terms of his positioning. But in terms of actually his recovery pace, as this ball gets played over the top, again, I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant recovery. And then again, it's that composure to calm yourself down and make a really good tackle. Now, of course, the other thing that I was talking about earlier was the passing range. And in particular, it's those clipped passes over the top. Again, I think if we're talking about stereotypically quick, strong, athletic, young players, don't normally have this to their game so much. They can often rely on getting their head down, knocking the ball and running. But Kamason is actually someone who, you know, is confident on the ball. He's happy to receive these passes, let the ball roll across his body, get his head up, and then have that passing range, have those ideas. And particularly when you get runners in front of him, on this occasion it's a winger and a striker, making that run in behind. He does have this little clipped pass. This is something that Luke Shaw always used to do really well for Manchester United from the left-hand side. You let the ball roll across your body towards the touchline, so then the opposition can't get close to you. And then it's that clipped ball over the top. Again, it's really good on this occasion. It gets us into a really good position. Again, in this moment here, receiving from in midfield to the right-hand side. Granted, in youth football, sometimes you get that time to let the ball, again, roll across your body, get the ball out your feet, get your head up. You may not get this time in senior football. But again, in terms of actual quality of pass, this is really, really good. This is a really nice weapon to have from such a deep position. When you have a player that can reliably progress from deep areas, it's a really useful weapon for the team, because these players in deeper positions are often playing with things in front of them. When we talk about a progressive midfielder, for example, they are often receiving with their back to goal, they're under pressure. When you do play in a more defensive position, you have that time to get your head up, you have a bit more time on the ball, so if you then have the passing range as well, it's super dangerous. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is sort of the technical range, and this perhaps applies more to a right back as opposed to a wing back, but Kamason is a player who doesn't just rely on going down the outside, he can go inside the pitch as well. So sometimes he will come into these positions and look for a pass and keep things simple, but what I think is important here is the variety. It can be, again, very easy, particularly for a young player, to be a bit one-dimensional. They rely on their pace to be a brilliant overlapping fullback, and the right winger is always going to move inside. What Kamason gives you is an ability to do something a little bit different, because he is also comfortable playing in these areas. Now, I'm not talking about a true inverted fullback, someone that wants to receive with his back to goal, but in terms of picking the ball up in this position and then carrying inside, this is something that he actually does quite well. And then the right winger can move a little bit wider. And if we talk about actually potentially a move to the first team, United playing in more of a back three and Kamason playing as a wing back, this could be quite useful because we know that Amorim in moments likes our wingbacks to come inside the pitch with the ball to let the inside forward then move a little bit wider. This is something which tactically could be quite interesting, and Kamason may already be able to do this. You can see as he picks the ball up here, he sort of gets the opposition on the back foot, because we know that Kamason traditionally, typically, wants to go on the outside, and it seems as though the opposition defender knows that as well. You can see in terms of the body language of the defender here, he's very much on the back foot, he's ready to defend the touchline. Kamason knows this and uses that to his advantage. He manipulates him and actually moves inside the pitch. Now, in terms of once he's actually inside, the work is quite simple, but you can see tactically how it changes things. It moves the Arsenal players into different positions, but also allows United to get a winger out wide. It's changing the profiles that are attacking the different zones. We've got it again here in the second half. Once again, the opposition player coming towards him, defending the touchline, and Kamason sort of uses his momentum against him. He waits until the defender is right near him, and then changes direction of the play. And then the defender actually physically just can't keep up. If he can, Kamason's got that acceleration, but also decent upper body strength. He would need to improve in this area in the first team, but I would say he's decent physically. He can certainly handle himself. He's a strong bloke. And again, it allows him to carry the ball forward, and now we can see what it creates for the team. The ability to get a different player in a wide zone, rather than it always being a fullback in a wide position. This gives you something a little bit different. So I think it's pretty clear that technically this guy's got a pretty good foundation level, he's got a good base, and also physically as well. He's a strong player that can handle himself, which would make the transition into senior football just that little bit easier. But of course at Manchester United, if he's going to make that transition, it is going to be as a wing-back as opposed to a full-back. And that does ask slightly different questions, and I guess what we need to discuss is, can he actually play in this role? Being an attacking full-back is one thing, playing as a wing-back is quite different. In terms of things like his back-to-goal reception, I actually think he's quite a good player. Again, of course, he's very young, so he needs improvement, and he's a little bit raw. But I actually think he's quite good in this area, playing with his back-to-goal. He uses his body quite well. I think where he's more exciting, though, is the ability to attack space. Manchester United have had a big problem this season under Amorim, when we've played the likes of Dalot and Mazraoui at wing-back, because they aren't players that want to be overly aggressive in the final third. They aren't players that want to take full-backs on and actually attack space. Whereas Kamason, I would say, is the complete opposite. He's someone who wants to get forward, he wants to take risks on the ball, he wants to attack fullbacks, and importantly, we'll see this in a second, he also wants to attack the space. He's a pretty good 1-versus-1 dribbler, and just all-round a pretty good attacking player. You can see it here in the game against Arsenal. Of course, he was a fullback in this match, but in terms of positionally in this moment, this looks more like a wing-back, right? He's providing the width for the team on the right-hand side, and as he receives the ball, what I like about this is he wants to get at the defender. So he gets the ball, and his first thought is, can I be aggressive? Can I take this player on? And on this occasion he can. He beats him and then puts the ball into the box. Final delivery needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. His crossing is inconsistent. His final ball into the box is far from perfect. But if we're talking about the intent, the idea behind what he's trying to do, I think it's good. Receive the ball, take the man on, get the ball into the box. That's what you want to see from a wing-back. And this was something that he sort of kept doing in this match. Again, on the right-hand side, providing the width, he wants to take players on. He wants to try and get that defender on the back foot all the time. Now, on this occasion, he actually slows it down. He sort of makes a decision to come back, which I was a little bit annoyed about actually in the moment. But then what he does is quickly changes it and decides to spin the other way, again take the player on, deal with the shoulder-to-shoulder contact, which is important, and then, of course, again deliver into the box. Although the delivery still needs work. But the important thing is the idea. Providing the width, getting into these positions, and once he's in those positions, there is, not always, but at times, a fearlessness to the way that he plays. He's just going to take this guy on. He's not going to worry about what happens if I lose the ball, or do we need to recycle possession, or whatever. He knows he's in a good position here. He's 1 versus 1 with a player that he feels he can beat, so he tries to take him on. And in this game, he was successful, waiting for the defender to get close, before then having that burst, acceleration to get himself into the final third. It was really, really good. But what I also liked, in terms of the prospect of being a wing-back, was, again, when the ball's actually on the other side of the pitch. I think this is really important for wing-backs, and I don't think it's spoken about enough. But as a right wing-back, you need to be effective when the ball's on the left-hand side. Because we know how the shape works, right? United are going to overload this side of the pitch, draw the opposition over. We are going to get space over this side. Now, normally what we see is that wingers are excellent at attacking this space because they've got that attacking instinct, whereas fullbacks are a little bit hesitant. You know, Mazraoui doesn't want to fly forward in the same way. Kamason, however, wants to attack that space. I think the space that is really important is that space up here in the top right, particularly when crosses are coming in from the left-hand side. United's first team do have a problem where we don't get enough numbers into the box. Now, on this occasion, the youth team, you can see there's 2 players in there, a couple of players lurking around the box as well. The ball eventually comes in, and initially Kamason isn't in the picture, so you could argue he's getting there a little bit late, although remember, he's a right back here, not a wing back, so that's important. But what I do like is, as the ball comes in, he is the more alert player. He is the player playing on the front foot. He could easily hold position here, let the Arsenal player get it, and he could keep himself in a defensive position. Again, especially considering he's a right back in a back 4 here. But no, he chooses to be aggressive. He wants to go on the front foot, and he wants to get after that ball. And in terms of the reaction speed, the awareness, the reading of the situation, he is miles ahead of the defender here. I mean, you can see he's behind him here, and he just absolutely blitzes him. He's just way more alert than what the Arsenal player was, and it gets him into this position. Again, the ball into the box needs work, etc, etc. But I like what he's trying to do. The real good work, though, was, of course, the goal. This is a player who wants to get forward, wants to take players on, and as he receives the ball here, there's one thought in his mind: can I get this ball, and can I be direct? Can I get myself towards the goal? And, I mean, he certainly did that, didn't he? He takes the ball forward, and then the strike is just absolutely magnificent. And this is something that he's done before. His ball striking, actually, for a fullback is pretty darn good. He is a genuine threat in the final third. Is he the finished article? No, of course he's not. He is miles away from the finished article. Give him 8 years and he might be a finished article. But in terms of, you know, United, the pressure feels like it's off a little bit, particularly in the Premier League. We're not really competing for anything anymore. Maybe, just maybe, towards the end of the season, you give him a few minutes here and there. I'm not talking about making him a regular starter, but why not give him 30 minutes in a game with the pressure off? We've got nothing to play for in the league. Give him a chance. I think as a right wing back, he could be quite useful, and he's almost that more defensive wing-back than a true traditional winger, which is going to be important in the long term as well. Wing-back is quite a difficult position to recruit for. Having a young player coming through the academy could be the perfect solution in the short term, so yeah, he's not perfect, but I'd like to see him given a chance at some point, because I think he's got the athleticism which we lack at times in the team, but also the attacking desire, the technical quality. I'd like to see him given a go, but that's just my opinion. Just my thoughts. I want to hear yours in the comments down below. How good is Jaydan Kamason? Some of you guys may have watched even more of him than what I have, so let me know in the comments down below. And does he deserve that spot in the first team? Let me know what you think. Apart from that, we're finished for this video, so thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.